Chris Sununu deciding not to run again. But I thought I'd start off by talking to Chris Sununu about that. Governor, welcome back.
Hey, Hugh, how we doing?
Good. Should I meet you for coffee somewhere along the way?
Big gray building, goldish type roof, right in the heart of Concord, second floor. Come on up.
Well, I can't go through Concord. I got to get through Massachusetts. It's unbelievable. I have to go to Massachusetts today, and I try and avoid that state, and I love going to yours.
I'm so sorry you have to go to Massachusetts. Just my sympathy.
It is, Governor. Let me ask you something. You're not running for re-election. Why not?
Look, couple reasons. Number one, the state's in great shape. I mean, I've been here 4 terms. That's a lot. I do believe in term limits, and I have no doubt I could win again. But at some point, you do want new ideas, fresh ideas. I think we've left it in a good enough shape in that a Republican come and kind of build on our record. For 20 years, basically, we didn't have Republicans. We only had one Republican governor for 2 years here in 20 years before I came along, and the state kind of kept becoming, unfortunately, a little more like Northern Mass. So we've really turned that around. We've put it in great shape, and just the time is right. It really is. And so, you got to know when to pass the baton a little bit. And we got some great candidates running, to be sure.
Governor, boy, from your lips to God's ear about people getting out of the way after a while, self-imposed exit. Let me ask you something. We have not. I'm a Republican, you're a Republican. This is a Republican radio show, but I want independents and Democrats to listen to it too. We have not carried New Hampshire in a national election in a long time. Can it be done in 2024?
Oh, sure. No, it's all about candidate quality here. Look, we have really, really high voter turnout. We have really, really smart voters. They get really engaged on all the issues. But it's about the kind of character and quality of candidates sometimes. And it can definitely be won. Trump almost won here in 16. I think he lost by like 1,000 votes or something. By 20, it had all gone really south for him. But no, if someone like me can go from barely winning the state by 2% to winning it by 30, having a good record of success, and you just have to know how to run and engage with people. So, yeah, there's a huge opportunity here.
Governor, how old are you?
48. And you?
I'm 67. The reason I ask that is I think we need a generational shift in the GOP. I'm not against Trump. I'm in Switzerland,
yeah.
All right? But we need a generational shift. I actually served in the same White House as your father did. And I can stay on the radio because it's a 3-hour-a-day gig, and I don't get anybody hurt if I'm wrong. But I just think we need to move to the Sununu, the Cotton, the Gallagher era, and we got to do it within 5 years. What do you think?
I think we have to do it within 5 months. No, I completely agree. Look, the generational shift that we need kind of steps over all of the politics and the drama and the craziness that the whole country is plagued with. And it's what grabs independence. It's what brings back suburban moms. It's what actually attracts young voters. Young voters in this country, the 18 to 32-year-olds, are going to vote in record numbers in 24 and then ultimately in 26. So they're going to keep increasing their participation. And I don't see any Republicans, candidates, or even the RNC, by the way, really doing what they need to do to reach out to that younger generation. It's not easy. I'm not saying we're going to get a majority of them in 24, but if you give up on them, we are toast, guys. We are toast.
We can't. You know what? I think you underestimate what Ron is doing on campuses. But let's not go there. Let's stay on the presidential. First, let me ask you, do you have a candidate to succeed you? Do you want Kelly Ayotte to run, or do you have anyone in mind?
I haven't endorsed anyone. Kelly Ayotte's great. You brought former Senator Ayotte up. She's going to run. I think she'd be a phenomenal governor with no doubt. But I haven't endorsed anyone. I ultimately will, I think. But we'll see who gets in the race.
Now, I have been down already to see Nikki Haley when she came into Portsmouth. And I got to ask you about Portsmouth. That was a pretty happening place. Are they building more ships there? What are they doing in Portsmouth?
No, look, the whole state is really on fire for the most part economically. See, everyone is running up from Massachusetts, from New York, Vermont, Maine. They're all coming in. We've done everything from regulatory reform / taxes. Businesses want to be here. So we have now the lowest unemployment rate in the country and the lowest poverty rate. So no, we make it easy for people to do business, for people to keep their money because it's their money. It ain't the government's money. And so we promote it, right? You can have if you have a great product, if you don't know how to promote it and get people excited about it, they won't come. But right now we're doing really, really well there. And Portsmouth tends to be, I'll be super polite and say extremely left-wing crazy. That's the politest thing I could say. But it is a great town. It is a great town on the water. It's a lot of fun. They got, but that's New Hampshire. You have your liberal towns. You have your conservative towns. You have your North Country towns. You have your flatlanders, like some of us that live a little more down south. So it's quite a variety state, both politically and otherwise.
All right, now, that bathroom is still not fixed at the last exit in New Hampshire at the liquor store. I just wanted you to know that. I haven't seen any potholes, but I just wanted you to know that. Governor, let's talk about the presidential. This morning, Donald Trump in the New York Times poll is at 53%. His next closest competitor is Governor DeSantis at 17%. So he's got an overwhelming lead, and I don't know that New Hampshire's going to change to that. Do you?
Absolutely. No, look, so in national polls, I get national polls, but where's the conversation really happening? New Hampshire and Iowa. So let's look at New Hampshire's polls. I think the 3 of the last 4 polls, I think, from Real Clear Politics, has him under 40, right? I think he's averaging like 44% or something in Iowa. So where the conversation is, I think, wait a minute, this guy can't win. We might want to support him because of the political injustices going on with these indictments. I get that. But that doesn't mean you should be that generational change for president. So, no, those numbers are only getting worse. And it's not what he has, right? He's a sitting incumbent president, a former incumbent president. So, of course, his numbers are going to be decent. Think about what he doesn't have. From his own party, the hardcore base voter in Iowa and New Hampshire, the majority aren't with him. Think about that for a second. He was a flag bearer for our party just a couple of years ago, and the majority of his own party don't want him. So that's a huge opportunity for one of these candidates to start surging. And if we get it down to Trump and one other candidate, maybe even Trump and 2 other candidates, he's done. He really is. And look, I simply say thank you for the service, but there's no record there. There's no there, right? When he had Republicans, for all the Trump voters that are listening, just think about this for a second. He had Republicans in the House and Senate. He didn't build the wall, right? He didn't show any fiscal discipline, adding $6 trillion. Right? Where was the draining of the swamp? What happened to that? Right? Did we just forget that memo? So even when he had Republicans, he couldn't get anything done. That's not going to likely happen again. We'll have probably the Senate will still be run by Democrats. And so the whole thing, do we want to change this country, or do we just want to make a point? You change it.
No, Governor, we are on across all of New Hampshire right now, or at least 90% of New Hampshire listening. Would you support Trump if he's the nominee? I will.
Oh yeah, that's not going to happen. No, look,
but you would.
And we're going to have a strong Republican, but no, I have no doubt, given where the numbers are. I think I don't think after he loses, I don't think he's going quietly. I'll tell you that. I mean, the guy, he's kind of a crybaby in that sense. He's always. Have you seen his speeches?
But Governor, did I hear you right? You will support him if he's the nominee.
Oh, look, I'm going to support the Republican. There's no question about that.
But that's what I'm going to do too.
Yeah. But he's not going to be the nominee. He's really not. And look, I get the national polls, but when you're polling people, no offense to Kansas, Nebraska, Idaho, nobody's paying attention to the race in those states. Where they're paying attention to the Republican race is where he's having the most trouble.
Is there a date certain for the primary yet?
No, what we typically do is wait till all the states call their primary date, and then we put ours in front of everybody. And that's understood. That's accepted on the Republican side. Iowa will go first with their caucus. We'll go first with our primary, and that's the way it's normally done. So I'm guessing it'll be likely in the end of January 23rd, 30th, something like that.
All right, so I'm coming back up here to Studio North during January in order to be close to that. Let me ask you now, again, keeping in mind the New Hampshire voters who are listening, the reason that Republican candidates come on this show all the time, including the former president, Governor DeSantis, they want to talk to New Hampshire voters. What should they say to New Hampshire voters to get their attention, Governor, and more importantly, their vote?
They should say they should not worry about policy. They got to show some character, and they got to listen. See, what I told Tim Scott, and I help all the candidates. I do events with all of them, and I was telling Tim Scott, which is a candidate, just as an example, that's got this great background story. And I said, look, make it shorter. Make your story a little shorter so you give them more time to tell their story. You got to connect with people on their issues, not yours. And don't start trying to impress people. I was talking to DeSantis about this and all that. I said, don't worry about the policy stuff. We got that. You got to be about character, about looking people in the eye, and you got to show that you're not just viable to stand on the stage. You're the one on the stage. You are the leader. You are the winner. You're the person that is going to inspire the rest of the party to get bigger and more excited. So it's really about kind of a little bit of that charisma and leadership that they got to show to folks one-on-one.
No, I want to close with this. 2 candidates in particular, Vivek and Doug Burgum. And I want to start with Doug Burgum. I watched his speech in Iowa, and I'm in Switzerland. I'm not going to endorse anyone. They can all come on the show. I'll ask them all the same questions. I'm fair. But I watched Doug's speech, the governor's speech in Iowa, and I thought that is a 1976 Jimmy Carter vibe up with Republican issues. That was interesting. What'd you think of that?
Small town. He is a small town governor that connects. I mean, he grew up literally on a farm. He's completely self-made. The guy was a chimney sweep for many years, growing up on a farm. I mean, the guy. I love his line, and it's so true. He said, "Look, I'm the guy that always had to take a shower at the end of the day, not at the beginning." Because he's just a hardworking guy that made himself. So he's connecting with people on the small town, rural feel. It's not just about Washington and big city ideas. It's really about what's happening to the individual. Vivek as well. Vivek clearly also gets people very excited. I told him I had a great conversation with him yesterday, and I said, look, everyone knows you for the woke stuff. And I said, you have a great resume of running a business. You have a great sense of finance and balance sheets and economics. You got to talk about that a little more. You got to broaden it a little more. But he's really hooked people in and got them excited. He's incredibly well spoken. I mean, the guy can deliver a speech and get people excited as well as any of the candidates up there for someone who's really never done it before. And I think as he gets broader with his message, there's a huge opportunity for him to surge as well. Same with Tim Scott. He's moving as well, which is kind of interesting. He's changing his approach a little bit, and it's connecting with folks. He's really kind of putting it on the ground. So this is so much to play out here. I mean, really.
Governor Chris Sununu, keep coming back. I'm going to give you a report on your state as I drive through it, particularly the off-ramps and the exits and all the bathrooms. So thank you, Governor. Good to talk to you as always.
I'm on the bathrooms. I'm working on the bathrooms first thing today, just for you, Hugh.
That's very funny. Thank you, Governor Sununu. Always a pleasure.